So a little bit about the history of American unions to segue us into the next section. And sentiment towards unions became very powerful and became a major selling point in the time period right after the Great Depression. Individuals and workers were very concerned about the economy and their own job stability, which is why union membership began to rise very, very rapidly in this time period. And they actually petitioned the government to help the workers out. And that's where the government passed the Wagner Act, which prohibited a variety of unfair labor practices, including firing workers for engaging in union activity. So it required employers to bargain in good faith. So unions actually became very, very powerful during this time period, and union membership rose very, very quickly. However, unions became much too powerful, much too fast, and that posed a real problem for the US economy and business operations. Because unions were so powerful, they decided to go ahead and strike every single day. So in the United States, in the late 1930s and the early 1940s, there was nearly a strike every single day within the United States where unions basically shut down manufacturing operations on a daily basis. And people didn't really feel that was very fair, and they want manufacturing, they want to go back to work. So sentiment against unions quickly turned in the late 1940s. And basically, this is where the government stepped in once again and bounced out the Wagner Act with the Taft-Hartley Act in 1947, and now prohibits unfair labor practices by unions and helped to bounce out the Wagner Act by outlawing closed shops and permitting states to pass right-to-work laws. And ever since then, we noticed that union membership has actually declined within the United States, with roughly about 10 to 15% of any workers actually being in any type of union. The United States economy isn't very conducive for having a lot of union membership because a lot of our manufacturing has gone overseas and we're more of a service-based sector, which isn't very conducive or conducive towards union membership. So with this in mind, we can go ahead and take a look at what exactly these closed shops are, these right-to-work laws, and also other types of union structures a little bit more in detail. So here, let's go ahead and take a look at the types of union structures. Types of union structures. Union structures. So the very first type of union structure that we can take a look at is the most simple one. It is known as a closed shop. So the closed shop tells us that all workers have to belong to the union before they can be hired. So workers must belong to the union before they can be hired. Before they can be hired. And this is exactly what the Taft-Hartley Act outlawed, these closed shops. Workers must belong to the union before they can be hired. Before, if you wanted to join a job or a particular occupation, you may have had to join the union, and all closed shops are now outlawed by the laws that were passed by the United States government. Another type of union that we can take a look at is something known as the union shop. Union shop. And the union shops that say that you don't necessarily have to join the union right away, but you do have to join them within a specified time period, usually within a month or 30 days. So non-union hires must join the union, within a specified time period. Within a specified time period. So union shop, non-union hires must join the union within a specified time period. So if you don't want to join the union, that's perfectly fine, but you will be required to join them at a later date. And also tied to with these union shops, as we saw, were these right-to-work laws. So right-to-work laws. And these right-to-work laws basically give states the power to outlaw these union shops, or do they want to continue to have them? So once again, this is part of the Taft-Hartley Act. So here, these right-to-work laws that permitted states to outlaw union shops. Basically, it gives states the power. So gives states the power. So basically, based on state legislation, they have the power to outlaw these union shops or not. And about half of the states within the United States are right to work states, meaning that they have passed these right to work laws. Florida is included under one of them. So that just tells us that under Florida law, an employer or firm can actually go ahead and fire you for any reason, and you really have no recourse. It's a little bit more complex than that, but that's a simplistic view because in Florida, it is known as a right to work state. So therefore, you are at will with your employment. The final type of union structure that we can go ahead and take a look at is something known as an agency shop. Agency shop. And the agency shop just says that you are not required to join the union, but you're actually still going to pay the union some dues to compensate them for their services. So employees are not required to join the union, are not required to join the union, but must pay dues, in order to compensate the union for its services. In order to compensate the union for its services. The union for its services. So a little bit of a weird one with this type of union, the agency shop. So you don't necessarily have to join the union, but you still are paying the union its particular dues. And a lot of employees don't want to join the union because they lose that individual flexibility, as we've talked about. And even if you aren't necessarily part of the union in the agency shop, because you do pay dues, the union will still sort of fight for you in a lot of these instances. So 3 different types of union structures that we've taken a look at: the closed shop, the union shop, and the agency shop, as well as these right to work laws, which give states the power whether or not they want to pass these union shops or not, or whether or not they want to outlaw them or not. In the next section, we'll go ahead and take a little bit closer look at the insider-outsider theory and see why so many people want to join unions and why a wage gap may appear between those that join the union and those that do not join the union.